Hello and happy Juneteenth. Today, I'm excited to be participating in the Black BookTube is Reading 30-Day Challenge. It's also the very first video on my page and channel, The Story Never Ends. So I believe books are the starting point, but the stories are the destination. The Story Never Ends is about what happens after we finish the book, the conversations, the lessons, the personal growth, and the connections that continue long after the final page. And if you're like myself, sometimes the story begins before we even open the book or even take a look at the cover. So today, I'm just going to briefly go over some questions that we have for our Black BookTube is Reading First Day Challenge that'll allow you to get to know a little bit about myself. Question number 1. Who are you? Where are you from? And what kind of books do you like to read? So my name is Lisa. I am from Texas, and I'll let you guess in the comments what Texas city I'm from. I am a lifelong reader. I am a lifelong writer. I've been reading and writing since I was a young girl. So reading and writing for me go together like peanut butter and jelly. I also love to read a variety of books and genres. I love historical fiction. I love mysteries. I love urban fiction. I love self-help books as well. And I also like Christian fiction. Those are just some of the books that I like to read. I also like to read mysteries. To me, the best thing about books is that you can get lost in a story. You can learn different things about different places. You can travel. And for me, those different genres I mentioned are just important to the literary culture. What other type of book I like to read are I like autobiographies, because I like to learn about people that I probably see, on my TV screen or hear in music, and I get to learn more about who they are, what made them who they are, what their background is that got them to where they are today. Question number 2. What made you start a BookTube channel? So stories have always been a major part of my life. It's one of the reasons why I started this channel. For me, I wanted to have a community where I could discuss books outside of just book club participation. Shout out, shameless plug to Black Girls Who Read, in which I am one of the admins of the Dallas South location. I also wanted to discuss books beyond simple reviews, and I wanted to participate and support Black BookTube. I think it's important to understand that stories continue long after the final page, and continuing conversations continues to grow not just the book culture, but it helps authors see how their stories are touching the lives of their readers. And I didn't just create this channel to review books. I created it because I believe stories stay with us and they continue to shape us. Question number 3. What genres deserve more attention within Black literature? So I would say Black fantasy, Black science fiction, Black romance without the trauma, although I'm an urban fiction girl and I love urban fiction books, and I love some of the trauma that is based in those stories. Black mystery and crime fiction, although one of my favorite authors, Walter Mosley, has gone really far. I would love to see a lot of people who look like me discovering his stories beyond Devil in a Blue Dress that was turned into a movie. Black speculative fiction, and also Black historical fiction. I know it kind of gets a bad rap because it's wrapped in a different version of trauma with slavery, But I think that those stories and just the weaving of survival is important. Oftentimes, many readers immediately think of historical or civil rights centered literature, but Black authors are creating incredible works across every genre. And to me, every genre of Black literature deserves more attention, even urban fiction, because it sometimes gets a bad rap because there are the stories about the drug dealing and all the things that people can find negative. But I think what people need to understand is being Black is not a monolith. There are so many different aspects of Black culture, and we get to learn those through the stories that are written. Question 4. Which Black literary character lives rent-free in your head? And this is going to be an author's character. I recently started reading her in maybe, I want to say 2023, 2024, and that's Alexandra House. And it's Uncle Leicester. He is a part of several of her books, and he just, when his character is written about in the books, he becomes the scene. He brings the laughter to the story. He makes it funny. He makes it break from maybe the dramatic or the tense things that are happening within the story. And it just gives you a moment to just laugh and remember, hey, life ain't that bad, or what they're going through isn't that bad, and somebody's got an Uncle Leicester somewhere. And so I love reading his character, and I laugh at him randomly, some of the things he's saying. He one of his favorite lines is, "Watch out there now," and that lives rent free in my head quite often. And I'm just gonna tell you, I'm not gonna go back. I've stuttered and messed up a few lines, but like I said, this is my first video, so bear with me. For the videos to come, you might get perfection, you might not. Question number 5. What book best represents your community, culture, or upbringing? Wow, that's a tough question. I can't really say that there is a specific book that represents my community, culture, or upbringing. What I will say is that I've read a variety of books written by African American authors, whether it be Kimberly Lawson Roby, whether it be J. California Cooper, whether it be Toni Morrison, whether it even be Walter Mosley, whether it be Alexandra House, or even Kennedy Ryan with her recent book, Score. There have been so many different books. Omar Tyree, Sister Soldier, when she wrote Fly Girl was Omar Tyree. Sister Soldier wrote The Coldest Winter Ever. There are so many books that I've read throughout my lifetime where I saw different pieces of my life and my story within them, from childhood to adulthood. And that's what makes the author's works so wonderful to me, is it could be considered a fiction book, but there are so many places where real lives live within those stories. Question 6. Which Black author would you love to have dinner with, living or deceased, and why? So, I just got an opportunity to meet Walter Mosley. I didn't have dinner with him, but I did get to sit in on a chat about his new book, Galen, and I got to shake his hand and take a picture and skip the line and everything. I'm not supposed to tell anybody that I skipped and took my picture before everybody else, but hey, you guys on my page, The Story Never Ends, will be the first to know the secret. So since I met him, I won't say him, man, Tupac was an author. And he's one of my favorite poets. So out of Tupac, because I want to just understand the mind of not just the rapper, the poet, the writer. His mind was so deep when it came to just written expression. So he would be one of those on that list. And then I have to say one more, and that's J. California Cooper. And for me, that's because she found a way to make difficult stories just positive, to be honest. I mean, when I read the book Family, and you're reading about a slave family from the perspective of a deceased relative, Cora, and you see how Always lives through slavery and wants the best for a child that she bore to her slave master, and you just see hope, you see resilience. And so I think J. California Cooper would be that person for me. Question number 7. If a new viewer found your channel today, what 3 books would introduce them to your reading taste? So we would have to, man, that's, y'all just really want to kill me with the questions. Listen, I would have to take it back to Charlotte's Web, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, The Babysitter's Club, American Girl. Is that what it's called? I think so. But I would take them back to where I started reading. I would take them to my real initial onset of reading, which was Jet and Ebony magazines and the Beauty Salon, just so that they really get to know me, right? And then I would say, hey, you got to go with Omar Tyree, Carl Weaver, Brenda Jackson. Then I would take them to, and I know I'm not saying books, I'm naming my authors because they have so many great books, but Fly Girl will always and forever be one of my favorite books. We passed that book around our middle school classroom for quite some time over the school year. Then, God rest his soul, Eric Jerome Dickey. Wow, that man is a storyteller, and you can't go wrong with his books. Again, one of my favorite authors, Walter Mosley, who's on my Mount Rushmore of authors. J. California Cooper, Zora Neale Hurston, Their Eyes Were Watching God. If I were to pick a Walter Mosley book, I'm not going to do it. And then now, where I'm at as a reader, with my fiction books, I like Jaquel J. I love Ashley Antoinette. I love reading books by Alexandra House, as I mentioned before. Also books by Tayari Jones. I just read a short novel from her last night. And then American Marriage is a book that I recently read with my book club. And then Kennedy Ryan, I loved her series, her most recent series that incorporated Score, Real, then also the Can't Get Enough series with Soledad and the gang. So those are my books. Let's see, question number 8. Black BookTube is, I'm going to say Black BookTube is community, representation, conversation, discovery, connection, and celebration. To me, Black BookTube is community because it's a space where readers can discover new voices, celebrate Black authors, share stories, and connect through a love of literature. So guys, we've come to the end of my first video on my page. The Story Never Ends. And we are celebrating for 30 days. Black BookTube is Reading. I want to thank you guys for watching. Make sure you subscribe. Answer any of the questions that I had to answer in the comments, as well as what Texas city you think I'm from. And then, of course, subscribe to the page. Thank you again for joining me in my first video. And remember, books may end, but conversations, lessons, and impact continue, because the story never ends.